Brought to you by Penguin.
My Beloved Monster by Caleb Carr. Read by James Lurie.
For herself, always, now, forever, and for those who came before, whose lives and too often tragic ends imparted so much of the knowledge that allowed me to build a secure world with Masha. She will always be the only thing that comes between me and the awful sting that comes from living in a world that's so damn mean. Margot Everett, My Beloved Monster, 1996. Part 1. Destinies. Prelude. 17 years. During those years, the days and weeks began to matter much less to me than did the phases of the moon, the winds, and the seasons. Once I might have noted that such a long span could have contained an appreciable marriage, or the bulk of a career, or a child's development from birth to high school graduation. But those kinds of milestones, never very important to me, shrank to complete insignificance while we lived together in the house that steadily became, from the instant she entered it, more hers than it was mine. Increasingly, my sense of time became her sense of time, and her sense of time was governed by sunlight and darkness, the sounds of the prevailing winds shifting from mild to roaring over the chimney, and the changing shape of the glowing, arcing disk in the night sky, which she sat and watched from her various outdoor and indoor reconnaissance posts. We filled each day, and even more given our shared habits each night, with the business of those hours, writing for me, hunting and defending our territory for her, and sleeping as well as sustenance for us both. But any larger external sense of life moving on was ultimately ruled by the seasons. Yet there were internal and alarming signs of life's passage, too. We both had injuries and illnesses, and the simple perniciousness of age to remind us that the years were mounting up, that we weren't as strong or as fast or as quick or resilient as we'd been at the start. But neither of us ever stopped fighting against such attempted intrusions into our long-established routines. And ultimately, what mattered most was not the maladies and the hurts, but the fact that we were there for each other, always and at every possible moment, during and after them. For as long as was needed, time was suspended, and only when each crisis passed would the primacy of the great unseen clock that divided light from darkness, heat from cold, bare branches from lush vegetation be acknowledged again. We were then, ourselves, timepieces. Both of us recognized this quality in our respective souls and bodies, of course, but we also caught it, perhaps more pointedly, in each other's. Injuries and illnesses from which we recovered less and less rapidly, until every one left traces and then changes that were no longer disguisable, no longer subtle at all. These were the inescapable marks of time, as were the limitations they represented, and they could only be ignored up to a steadily more constricted point. It was in both our natures to keep trying to push past the constrictions, often dangerously, and always to each other's dismay. But we did it anyway, both knowing that when we fell short of any given objective, we would not be alone. Perhaps we were even testing that consolation, just to be sure of its permanence. After all, the sometimes agonizing pain resulting from those reckless attempts was, with only a few exceptions, never so great as was the comfort of each other's company during convalescence. And that was one more thing that kept me, and I suspect her, from even imagining a day when the pain would have no remedy or consolation at all. 17 years.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?